All right, welcome to Stampscapes Friday Night Live. Thanks for joining in. We're going to do some stamp sketching here, and I'm going to mostly use my new desert series, but I wanted to use it with some of these fences. I thought we could make a pretty dramatic setting with this type of thing in mind. And I wanted to, I don't know, build up my texturing a little bit on this video here. So we're going to see what we can do. Now, I might be finishing some of these off. I might not. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes here. Okay, so I have some scrap pieces of semi-gloss cardstock. All right, I don't even know what the sizes of these are. I think this one looks probably like a half page right here, but semi-gloss because I want to use a lot of colored pencils on here. And then I might get around to using a couple photo prints of some clouds. I need to get some photo prints of some sunsets here before too long, or just, I don't know, a variety of different sky figures. So you can see these are just your standard prints. I got them at Costco at some point in time. Glossy 4x6 photo prints of clouds. These are all available for download, free download and printing on either the Facebook group or my Flickr page under the Clouds album. All right, you can download the whole album with just one click, or you can download each of the prints individually. There's a little down arrow in the lower right-hand corner of the photos. You have to bring up the full size, not from the thumbnail. But anyways, okay, let's get into it. Hello, Froggy Fresh and Charita. How are you? Hope you guys had a nice week leading up to, let's see, Easter weekend, huh? All right. So let's start off here with some of the grass texture right here. I'm going to try to create a little bit of an opening. I've really wanted to use my fences with the desert imagery ever since I've been doing these test prints, because I thought it would be a really great combination here. All right, so we'll use the left and right large fences from the set here. I like to kind of have things a little bit offset as opposed to having, the two fences coming in perfectly even, unless you're doing something really, specifically to create a very center-lined composition. Like if had like a moon or something like that rising up from the center and someone's walking into it like that. But I usually go a little bit rule of thirds type of compositional structure on my pieces. But you do both, play around with it. Hello, Roberta. Glad to have you back. Froggy Fresh, you're making bridges. Now, what do you mean? Like actual bridges for your train set or something like that? Or like a trestle? All right, so masking off my grass a little bit. Don't mask all the way. You want this kind of fence to go into there. You don't want to have like a line in between your objects. Although you could, but I think it just kind of merges a little bit better. Having things a little bit, kind of varied a little bit more and integrated, especially, okay? So I don't know, I covered up a little bit right there. So see that grass, so that one post is going into the grass and this one's like out of the grass. All right, a little bit of variation there. And we'll put the opposite one right over here. You can go a little bit higher, a little bit lower, or you can go with the same level if you want to. If you put this a little bit higher, it represents something a little bit farther away. Or you can go with the smaller one like this too, like this. So it's like an opening like this, and this is like farther away. I'm gonna do the same size one for this one. Maybe I'll do another one coming up here too. So this one's going to be like the old ranch, okay? So grass is kind of taken over, you know, it's gotten real scrubby, you know, on the land. That's the concept right here with this one. All right. I'm going a little bit higher with this one. When you do things like this, it really creates a super strong visual lead-in into a scene. I'm just using standard dye-based inks here too on this, but the semi-gloss cardstock, just use whatever, you know, whatever your favorite black ink is, be it dye-based, you know, VersaFine Clear, pigment ink, or whatever you want. All right, so we have those fences in there. Let's create some background in here. Let's go with, like I said, it's kind of a grown over, you know, old ranch in the desert or something like that. So I'm going to put some, this is the sedge filler right here. I'm going to put this sedge filler in the background here, and we'll just come right across there. This is a very light texture right here, so the fences are, for the most part, they're like strong silhouettes, so you don't need to mask them off. You just go right over the top. I could have stamped the grass out first too, you know, this background grass, and stamp the, you know, the fence into it, so in terms of your sequence, it's not really going to matter. Let's make this a little bit, let's bring a little bit of variation in this. Why don't we go with this little bit of a slope like that? I mean, you can go really sloped in there if you want to as well. All right, so we're just building up our textures and our visual lead-in. I don't know what I'm going to put in the background yet. I haven't decided. So, don't think that I have things too planned out, because I almost never do. I mean, I have the general concept, okay? All right, so I was looking at the, someone posted in the Stampscapes Facebook group this picture of the Superstition Mountains, and it was from a photo that was, I think, taken last week, and it was all super green leading up to that range, and it was really beautiful. The saguaros, I think, were even green, and it was filled in with like grass, you know, like seasonal grass, and I thought, I want to do something like that, so maybe we'll do something in the spirit of that. I'll see if I get around to some of the coloring in this video. I'm not sure. All right, so let me see right here. So we got that grass texture right here. I'm going to throw in a little bit of the sand dune, I think, right here, just for a little bit of variation here. Sometimes out in the deserts you see, you know, different types of textures, you know, whatever, 100 yards back or whatever, you know, the sand dunes aren't like, you know, we're not doing like the Gobi Desert here or something like that. So you see a lot of variation. Clark Memorial Bridge, and I'm making a covered bridge. Cool. Are you making horses? Am I making them? Or do you see some up on my desk here? I do have some horses right here that I've been using on recent scenes. All right, a little bit of sand texture like this. I want to go for a lot of texture on these. I call it stamp sketching here. Now this one's a little bit more solid, of course, than the sedge filler. So I'm going to wipe off the bottom of this a little bit, like about midway up. Say I'm taking off this ink right here, so that when I go over the top of this fence right here, it'll be a little bit lighter where that overlap occurs, okay? So that I won't lose the strong silhouette of that shape right there. So sometimes you just do that. You just mop off some of the ink so that it stamps out much lighter. You can also just do, you know, an initial impression like this and then stamp it down there, but then it'd be like more of a uniform tone. Maybe I could have taken off a little bit more here, but it's a little bit darker up here and a little bit lighter right here. So we still, in other words, have that strong fence silhouette. See, I don't know. I guess I didn't mop it off right there and it stamped out a little bit darker there, but it's a little bit lighter than what it would have been had I not done that, okay? And this would merge into that a little bit more. Now, I mean, if that happened, you can separate the two to, later on with coloring and things like that too. So it's, don't think, oh my God, I haven't been wiping off or something like that. That's just kind of giving me a little bit of a head start to something that I'm anticipating later on in terms of the imagery that I'm using back there. Okay, so like I said, I just wanted that to stand out a little bit more. Okay, so let's see. Where that ends right there, let's build that up a little bit. Okay, with some more texture, let's just come in here like this. All right. You have horse fencing. Oh! Yeah, but this is like one of those places where you like find the ruins of a old settlement or something like that from way back. Could be wild horses running off in the distance, as a result of that old homestead. All right, let's see here. Let's add up some mountains here. All right, so here's my thing. I'm going to use some cactus in here. Should I do that first? Maybe I should do that first here so that I can determine what value to stamp this range in, okay? All right, let me do that here. I mean, some planning would be good on my part if I did that. If I ever did that. Which I probably should once in a while. All right, let's see. Which ones should I use in here? We'll go with some saguaros, like that. But see that right there? Is that kind of... Yeah, if I do that right up in here, then I don't want to do that mountain range too dark. Let's see. Let's go like this, and we'll have some back up in here, maybe. Right next to that fence, if I have that behind the fence, I'm going to have to do this lower portion pretty light though, right? Let's figure it out. Okay. I mean, like I said, everything could just be done just straight black, okay? But this will create a little bit more separation. Okay, so see this right here? Right from about midway down, let's remove some of this ink like this. All right. I never know how much ink I'm removing because sometimes my pad is inked up a little bit. I think I just took off way too much, or did I? Let's see. I usually don't take off enough though. Okay, I'll do something like that. So that's a little bit dry down there, and that transitions up a little bit drier, and then I try not to make it just abrupt. I try to taper it off a little bit like up there. All right, so that's about roughly where it is. I just put my finger right there so I know kind of roughly where that lighter area is. Here. I'm kind of going... I'm composing right now, so I'm thinking, okay, I can have a little bit more. So maybe I don't need to worry about that post so much. So anyways, I've re-inked this a little bit darker right here, okay? Yeah, okay, so see that? I don't know if you can tell right here, but the base of the that saguaro right there is a little bit lighter like that. Now it's more textured and it has more lighter texturing in there anyway. But see, this fence still stands out a little bit more forward than had I not done that. So that little type of thing, can help out with whatever the illusion of space in here. All right, so it's not technical or anything like that. It's just inking it up and just wiping it off, really fast. So you can just do that a lot of times. And it just kind of creates this, as I was saying, it creates kind of a stronger illusion of space when you do that. You're contrasting values against one another. Okay. All right. Here's another one right here. This is like a overkill for this one stamp, but it's fairly tall. I have another other blocks somewhere, but okay. So this is going to go right here. All right. So it's roughly from right here down. Okay. Something like this. I need to put the coating on the back of my tack and peel here, the plastic. I finally got organized now, so I know exactly where all that stuff is. I just put it in this bag right next to me. I don't know if you can see it right here. All right, so let's see. Some saguaros. Let's go with a couple background saguaros in here too. All right, I definitely need a much smaller block here. Let's go with this one. Here, I have the winter brush on here. Let's use that before taking it off the block. This is a really great one as far as adding some additional texturing into kind of your soft forms of a lot of layered grasses. You can have these like prickly little, textures coming out of thing. I made it to go in like snow, like a bush that's lost all of its foliage for the the season, but it really can work on anything. All right, so see that right in here. So see, it kind of creates a little bit more separation. Here, I'll show you. So see, this grass right here is just one large kind of mound, right now. So what you do is you just create a little bit of separation in here. You come in here, like that, or wherever you want it to go. All right, let's just do this right here. I'll come down and I'll put another one right here. So, you've created kind of a little bit of a separation between this clump of grass and that one just by putting something crisp kind of in between. All right, so we have these two right here. And then those are masked off right in that area. And then you just put one right here, unmasked, and it'll create depth within your grass like that. Otherwise, so this whole grass in here, I mean, naturally with the fences here, this represents grass, or this texturing that's closer to us, and that one's farther off in the distance. But you can kind of create more of a varied terrain by placing usually foliage or something like that, but could be any object within the grass area. Okay. And if it's the same shape like that, you can use like a larger portion of it, then you can go off in the distance and use a smaller portion, just the top parts of it or something like that, or the smaller version of it. All right, so let's do that right here. I'll show you what I mean. All right, so let's go with these. Let's see, let's go with these other saguaros right here. Wild horses, yeah. I've never seen wild horses. I'm trying to think of, there was something in Death Valley though. I'm trying to think, there's a herd of something out there. Maybe maybe they're mules or something like that, but there's wild animals running around somewhere. Or was it Anza-Borrego? I don't think it's Anza-Borrego. I think it's Death Valley. I think there's some mules out there from, like mining days or something like that. All right, so let's add in some of these other ones. So see how I'm masking off some of those grassy kind of tufts like that. So I'll go with this right here. Creating a little bit more distance. Let's go with, put another one right here maybe. Something like that. And then let's go for some really distant ones here, really tiny. It's just interesting how out in nature you can see where there's like water that pools in some areas, like in lower depression or something like that, and you'll see more foliage, like a large cacti or, cactus plant or something like that. But they're more clustered together because, the water there. Or it's always strange to me driving around in an area, driving out to some location, and there seems to be a lot more flora right next to the road, and I figured it's because when rain comes, there's like this whole span of, I don't know, whatever it is, the span of the road, 20 feet or something like that, where all that rain water is going right, pouring off on the side of the road. It's not just getting absorbed. So it's just like the perfect spot for a lot of plants to grow. So you see, sometimes, in these areas, it's the most flora that you're going to see is just like right roadside, All right. So we have those textures in there. I have the mountain range to put in here. But let's put it, this is too grassy for me right now. So let's add in a couple textures in here. We'll go with some rock textures like this. I have a couple different sizes right here. Wild Mustangs in Wyoming. Okay, that makes sense, yeah. What about in like New Mexico? I would think, is New Mexico location for some of the, wild Mustangs too? I've watched these, I don't know what it is, the national, whatever, it's not the Park Service, but I'm rounding them up once in a while. And I don't know, these Mustangs, they put them up for like auction. All right, so I'm going to make a little bit of this textural visual lead in right here using these rocks. Okay. So I'm going to just change the texturing a little bit here from, over here. Here it's like represents a little, maybe it's a little bit more grassy. Anytime where you put the rocks, it probably represents kind of flatter ground. Okay. So you can take this little puffy little, earth right up there. And if you put like a couple of rocks in there, because we can see the rock, then it's, it represents just kind of a flatter area where, the rocks are going to be exposed and not buried underneath the grass. So all you do is you just put, something like this in here, and it creates that little bit of varied terrain. Otherwise, when I just do all grasses like that, I mean, I go back to things like the winter brush and I add it in there, but having that other little texture in there is, just kind of helpful in terms of creating a little bit of some kind of crisp variation in there. Because if I color all this in, it tends to look a little bit muddled at times, especially if I use a lot of different, colors, a lot of different dye-based inks or colored pencils or something like that. In the grasses, I want something crisp. Thanks so much, Malka. Thanks for joining in. Hello, Cecile. Hello, Jeannie. these weeks are going by so fast. It's like I did a live stream. I don't know when it was. Was it Wednesday or something like that? I can't even remember now. But every time these Fridays come around, it's like, man, it's Friday already. All right, let's get with some of these ranges here, okay? All right, so these are some background ranges. I do have these, these saguaros sticking up in here a little bit. And, they're really solid in terms of silhouette, but I might want to stamp this out lighter, so it doesn't kind of obstruct those too much. And so let's do I think the double stamp, I think will do it. I mean, you can stamp it out in gray too, but if we just want to keep it simple, we can just blot it off like that once and then just go straight in here and add it in like so. Hopefully it's stamped off enough ink. If you just re-inked a black ink pad, then maybe you want to, stamp it a little bit more thoroughly, or you just go 1, 2, and then 3 on here. But you can see that's like more like a 80% gray or something like that, contrasted against more of like a, whatever, 98%, gray or something like that. So it looks like it's, set back in the distance more. All right, let's go with let's use, I have enough ranges here. Let's go for another one. Let's see, let's do this, maybe not. I have 3 of these just for this let's go with this right here. All right. I'm seeing some really great usages of, like, especially the Desert series because it's so new. But the images, this is what I always like to see. Some people are, they'll redo a composition that I do in like a video like this, which I think is really great too, because that's a really great, way to, get a feel of the imagery or something like that. If you just started using them. But I'm seeing, the combinations, all kinds of different combinations that I can never get around to because there's so many different possibilities. But things like the natural bridge, or I don't know, just combinations of these newer designs used with older ones, in just ways that I never would have thought of, or gotten around to experimenting with. So love seeing that. All right, see that right there. You can even put like a larger one right up there. I don't think I want to, but I think that's about right there. This little area up here, I can put some cloud textures up there or something like that. But I can also just leave it blank like that for like a quote stamp, which might be kind of cool up there. Or you can do both, you can put like some clouds over here and then just leave like a little space in there for like a word stamp or something like that. Maybe I'll do both. Let's see how that goes. All right. Let's see here. I love using this right here, this alto cumulus cloud with the Desert series. But maybe I'm going to use this cumulus cloud. It's a little bit softer. Everything's kind of craggy in here. Or I don't know, the main kind of distant, whatever, focal point, those mountains right there. So maybe we'll contrast it against something that's really kind of nice, soft and billowy. All right, should I do... I'm trying to think of what color scheme that I want to do this in, because that could influence what I stamp out my cloud in. I can do this cloud in like a light blue for a light, high noon, spring day, in this location. I could do it in a sunset type of scenario, with warm tones or something like that. And if I do that, then I want to stamp out my cloud in a color out of that color scheme. Okay, so now's the time to kind of think about that. let's just go for, you know, some blue tone. And I'm thinking about that photo that someone posted, you know, in the Facebook group of those Superstition Mountains. It was really spectacular. It was like it it was like a really plush green. It was like, you know, it was like Christmas green and, you know, bright greens like this. And it was that whole, you know, area up there leading to, you know, this mountain range. It was really amazing. It's like, wow, that is really super green. And if it's like that, then it's probably, if they didn't already have it, there's probably going to be some really spectacular annuals, you know, like spring blooms in that area. Okay, so there was already some blue on this one. I'm cleaning this off because, you know, for all I know, I used like red on it, you know, my previous time. Hello, Manganels. Arizona. Colorado has them. New Mexico likely also. Got it. Hello, Sam Hawkins. Good to see you. Cynthia. Hello, Craft by Cat. Did I say clown textures? I don't think I said clown textures. Cloud. Unless I was thinking of clowns. I did watch, you know, just watched Killer Clowns from Outer Space last night. I'm joking, folks. Is that the name of some movie like in the 80s? Okay, so I'm wiping off this cloud cumulus. Okay, there's this rectangular shape, but you can kind of see those textures right in there. I'm wiping off this lower portion because I'm just going to have it transition into here, and I'm going to go this way. Okay. Yeah, I could go this way too and, you know, have those billows up, but I think I'm going to go like this right here. And I'll have just some, you know, sky, open sky underneath there like that, okay? This is just, you know, Bahama blue. It's like a medium tone blue. Medium light, maybe. Okay, but do you see that? Where I wiped off the cloud like that? Here, let's do this right here. Okay, so see that right here? I wiped off all of that ink before stamping it out, and look at that transition right there. So it makes it really easy. So if you use these types of little, you know, techniques here of just partial, or I don't know if I'd call it partial impressions, but I guess so. It's more like varied impressions, okay? So it's just, you know, sometimes you just wipe off your stamp like this, and it kind of marries with the other imagery just so much easier because it transitions into them. So that's what I did right here on this cactus right here. If you just joined in, what I did was on these saguaros right here, where they're going in back of the fence right there. The fence was stamped out first, but I could see the fence is going to be there. So if I stamp these out uniformly black, you wouldn't be able to see that fence stand out as much. So I just wiped off some of the ink off the lower portion of the saguaros where they're behind that fence area, just to create a little bit of a value difference, okay? And that's all I'm doing right here with this cloud. Here, let me see if I can get another impression out of this. I hope so. Yeah, a little bit right there. So it's a little bit lighter. I'm going to leave this space open for like a quote in here, I think. All right, but anyways, so this is going to get colored in a little bit with some probably light blue ink or something like that. But this is going to just be my foundation right here for, you know, my coloring right here. I'm trying to think, okay, so should I use any other type of thing? You know, that. Here's this Ocotillo. I think that's going to be a little bit too busy if I put, you know, some additional texturing right in here. Yeah. Let's see. Let's use the this buzzard, I think. That. I'm thinking about using colored pencils. A lot of times I color my scenes and I'll stamp like little figures in. As the last kind of step. Okay, but if I'm coloring with colored pencils, you can't really, stamp over those colored pencils that well, especially with dye-based inks, like a water-based ink. It's not going to stick to that waxy coat on there, okay? So take care of all that type of stuff. Colored pencils. All right, let's see here. I'm going to do this little rattlesnake down here. I'm just going to have him right at the bottom. I'm going to have him coming off the page. I normally wouldn't do that, but with this kind of desert imagery like this, I kind of have little critters just kind of like a Where's Waldo type of thing, They kind of blend in with the surrounding just like they do out in nature. So I like kind of, now this spider, I'll put this tarantula right over here too. Let's see, let's put him right here. I saw a cool scene that someone did. Again, they posted on Facebook, but that little tarantula right here was kind of in a dark area, and they put two little like white paint pen eyes on the tarantula. It gave it kind of this googly eye look, but it was, it made the tarantula, which would be kind of like a neutral thing. I thought it made it look like friendly, like a friendly, spider, which is cool. That was my favorite part of that scene. Okay, like I said, I'm going to put like some quote right over here. And I think the quote stamp right over here in that section right there, it will kind of, create a little bit of a kind of a rule of thirds type of thing in here. I'm not sure what quote I want to do yet, so I'll probably add that in a little bit later. But anyways, there's my first little composition right here. Playing around with these, whatever stamp combinations. Let's try something on a photo print. So this is called photo stamping if you don't know what it is. It's just glossy 4x6 photo prints, in this case of some clouds here. When you're doing photo stamping, you can really do anything. Usually it's best if there's like some kind of like neutral background. Okay, it could be like a body of water with like a horizon line or something like that. You can stamp a cabin on or sailboat or something like that in there. I try to keep some of my prints real neutral like this, where there's not a lot of hard contrast between the cloud and the sky, like super bright clouds, because I stamped something that was open, like that mountain right there, right over an area with high contrast. You'd see this area showing right through the clouds. So I try to keep a lot of the area on, my cloud photos very, you know what I mean? I don't try to, they're a little bit more of a neutral base, okay, to stamp on. Like, there's shadows in here, but I've decreased the contrast on a lot of them, so in reality, this area right in here is probably a lot darker, and maybe the cloud right here, well, the cloud would be about the same, but these areas right in here would be, there'd be a lot more contrast or something like that, or like right in here especially too. So, okay, so keep that in mind. Anything that you stamp over the top of it, if it's open design, all that area is going to be showing right through it. Now, a lot of times, like I said, if I decrease the contrast on it, it's not really going to matter, because it'll just look like a shadow on your forms if it's like a rock or something. All right, but let's see what this can look like here. Let's see. Let's go with this here. You also have to kind of figure out which way's up and which way's down. I think that would be okay too, like that. But I don't know, maybe that would be better. All right, let's try something like this. All right. All right, so standard dye-based inks. It's really fun to stamp on because this type of paper, it's tailor-made for water-based media because that's the type of media that they're printing onto these papers like this. Let's see. Craft by Cat, are you in Norway? I just read the rest of your I just read your note there. If you are, hello in Norway. I want to get to Norway one of these days to see those northern lights. Or I don't know, someplace like that, you know. All right, so here is a ledge stamp right here. All right. I probably wouldn't recommend like a VersaFine Clair on photo paper like this. That oil-based type of pigment ink. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I've tried it before. And I don't know if it's like with every type of photo paper, but it didn't dry. It seemed fine, but then I went back, I stamped out a really large, like a silhouette stamp on there. And then weeks later, it looked like that ink kept running, you know, almost like you did like oil paints on it or something like that. It never dried. Or maybe it eventually dried, but not before it kind of ran out of the, you know, the perimeters of the impression. California poppies in Arizona photos now. Okay, yeah. I saw some photos from. I haven't been out to the deserts, but I know that they were going off in Anza Borrego's like the big location out our way. But okay, so this looks like a ledge and some sky. So photo stamp is really fun. You put a person on this ledge right here, you know, or something like that. It'd be really cool. But I'm going to make this area in here land. Okay, so let's use some of these rocks in here. What's fun? You know, fun. You can use existing photos. You can use my photos. I've posted them all for, you know, like I said, for free for download on my Flickr account. And the Clouds album. They're on the Facebook group. There's my Linda took and she downloaded my entire Flickr Clouds album and put it into a folder on the Facebook group. I don't know. She thought to do that. I don't know. I just hadn't thought to do that before, but. And then there's also another album that everyone has been contributing to, you know, with different sunsets, all kinds of different photos. Like a lake or something like that would be really cool. Usually if you're taking photos for photo stamping, now you can always crop your photos and things like that too, of course, but I find it's kind of better to not have too many things in the foreground and to have just a base, because if you want to be able to stamp on there, unless you want to incorporate the things that are in the foreground in the photo into the scene, you know, I would take it out of there. It just gives you a little bit more variation of what you can do with your stamps, you know, and just kind of more of a neutral background than to have too many like really specific things within the photograph. So if you're taking pictures of us like a sunset sky or something like that and you want to use your own photos, then don't have like some tree in the foreground or something like that. Just take it all of that sky area with clouds and things like that. All right, so adding in some additional rocks into here. And by the way, so I'm using the dye-based inks on here. This is probably completely dry now. I think it dries faster than like glossy cardstock. Just because that emulsion coating on this type of paper, it's designed to dry, you know, your inkjet printer ink really fast. Okay, you know, so you're not sitting around, you know, for, you know, hours waiting for it to dry or something of that sort. All right, let's see. Let's go in. Let's go back to that grass texture a little bit. Yeah, clown textures, huh? What would that be? It'd be like cold packed cream textures. I don't know, what is that? Those red noses or something like that. Red noses throughout. Okay. So that now you've added in your grass, all right? Now, like I said, you can see, those clouds through there or something like that. Well, we haven't even added any color, but, for the most part, you can plant whatever you want on here. When I say plant, it's using whatever trees you want in here or anything. One thing about photo stamping, I mean, I do use a lot of, I like to color them with alcohol inks. And I like to bring in some pigment inks in here too, white pigment ink. But they could, you could just leave them, you could just do minimal coloring or no coloring at all in it. Because you already have that background texturing and, this right here just could be a shadow. It really can make for a really fast card. One of my favorite just projects was just stamping Lakeside Cove over a photograph like that, And I don't think if I did add anything to it, I don't remember. But then just pairing it up with that silver cardstock down below, and it made for a really super fast reflection card. All right, let's see. Let's go big right here. We'll go with this Ocotillo right here. All right, so if you just joined in, I'm just doing kind of some stamp sketching right now. If I've been doing a lot of things like, if I go with a really big scenes or something like that in a live stream, or just my, my personal stamping, which is always live streamed or recorded on this channel. Yeah, if I'm doing 11 by 17 or 8.5 by 11, my next card might be a inchy or something like that, or 2 by 2, I tend to play contrasts, or extremes against one another. So I've been playing around with a lot of the, the leaf textures and things like that. Mirror, reflection cards, making it look real three-dimensional. So I just felt like doing some stamp sketching. Just real fast, image. Now, like I said, these aren't finished cards, but they're just foundations for, my coloring to come. But the stamp sketches are a good way to kind of figure out some new compositions too, because it's just using the stamps and not worrying about, what color I'm going to, use here or there, or what, three-dimensional media am I going to use on there, embellishments, etc. You can just kind of play around with the imagery. And sometimes, doing it that way, doing a lot of just stamping of imagery, not finishing off of the card. Sometimes you can come up with some different types of usages of your stamps that you hadn't really thought of before. I don't know, a little bit more spontaneous maybe. All right, let's see. Just like that. But anyway, isn't it fun though? This photo stamping like that. You're a lot closer. It's like using the wood grain paper or something like that. It just kind of puts you a little bit closer to the end, whatever results. Just after making the impressions. Because you have light and shadow already kind of established. In this case, your sky's already done for you. It's pretty fun. This guy named Randall Curry in the 1990s came up with this photo stamping idea. The thing that I never did it, I didn't. He sent me some things. I might have experimented around a little bit, but I was all about glossy cardstock and super deep saturations and things like that. But the thing that shocked me was that just your regular water-based, dye-based inks were going to stick to this paper and adhere to it and dry just really quickly and fine. Let's see. Oh, Froggy Fresh, you wipe, you cut that part off. I have that part on there, so when you stack it, it transitions into the next stack like that, and it defines the edge like that. But I like your idea. Okay, so anyways, going back to that cloud, if you haven't watched this before, I mention this every time. If you have like the unmounted version of this, or the cling foam version of it, you can see the billows where the light is coming from that way. So you might not be able to tell looking at that, but on the back of just the rubber, if you have the unmounted version, make it like an arrow pointing in the direction of the light, okay? So that so if you're stamping around a moon or something like that, then you point the billows towards that moon, that light, whatever light source it is, okay? If the light's coming from up there, then you can do your light like this or like this, and it's always pointed in the direction of the light. That another customer showed me that. How she did that, and I thought, oh, that's a really great idea. All right, so a little bit more foreground here. Let's use some of these reeds. Like that. Okay. Something like that. I wonder if my quote stamp, there was a journey of 1,000 miles begins with like one step or something like that. I thought it'd be perfect for this turtle. I usually have the baby turtles one. I thought that was like a perfect quote stamp for those turtles, but just the slow, little desert tortoise right here would be good for that quote. So if that quote fits up there, I think I'm going to use it in here. But look at this little thing right here. So I put these rocks right around in there. And this scene wasn't inherently lit down here, but having these darker objects around here is that's like a perfect little spotlit area, right? Because those clouds are back there. So I'm going to put my little star of my scene right here. It almost looks like those desert tortoises kind of look like the shape of these rocks. They really blend in. So what I'll do is I'll bring in some greens around here when I color it, and I don't know, I'll have that the desert tortoise stand out a little bit more. And on top of the photo print paper, I like to color. Like colored pencils aren't going to work on here. And if I try to use dye-based inks and I apply it, it's like dry instantly. Now, if you have like stipple brushes or something like that, something really light, that would work on here with dye-based inks, because it's just these little hairs that are kind of going, this isn't a stipple brush, but if I inked up this in whatever color I'm going in, I'm just going like this. I mean, this wouldn't be the one, but those stipple brushes are a little bit flatter like that. You can do that. But I just like to use alcohol inks because I can apply my alcohol inks. I can build up tone and different values and shadows in here. But that alcohol ink really sits on the surface of this page. It doesn't absorb into the page, so you can really blend your alcohol inks around, with your blender pen or whatever, thing that you normally would blend your alcohol inks with. It really blends on here really nicely. Now, none of it absorbs, so you're not really getting like super smooth transitions of it. But I don't mind because I like a lot of that texture that alcohol inks can provide. And then when it looks a little bit, I go back in with a little bit of white pigment ink back into these compositions on photo paper like that, just to kind of mellow things out a little bit, because it does get a little bit harsh. There's a lot of harsh textures in here like this right now because everything is just nice, crisp, right, printed out. But sometimes I want to bring some of that soft element back in there. So I'll take my Q-tip, not Q-tip, but cotton swab, cotton ball, and I'll just bring some of that back in here. So this will be like a little early morning on the you know, the desert floor or something like that scenario. And I'll also do that in here. I'll bring in some of this cotton ball applications of pigment inks right in here and make this really soft. And maybe if I want to push those mountains back in the distance a little bit more, the white pigment ink comes into play. All right, so anyways, there's two compositions like that. All right. That photo stamping sure is fun. Let me do it on this one right here. Let's do it like this. Oh, check this out. So it's light over here and darker over here. I can add in some light beams into this with my pigment ink. Maybe I'll do that. I'll see if I can do that really fast on this scene. Let's see, let's create a foundation again down here. Let's see. I have a you have Where's Waldo stamps, Rocky Fresh? Hello, Debbie. Is that a set, Froggy Fresh? Did they release officially like some Where's Waldo stamps, or did someone, release those? In other words, not licensed, you know. That's pretty cool. I got to get over there. Crap, I can't. Let us know when you see those northern lights. We're all coming over to your house. Yeah, I've seen like those, I don't know, there's like places in Norway where you can go and, I think it's Norway. It's probably there in other places, but you can go and rent those like little huts or something like that. It's not like a big room or anything like that, but you go and lay on your back and look through this clear, you know, acrylic or glass ceiling and, you know, watch the northern lights, you know, from the comfort of your, whatever, your dome. Let's see here. Let me try something here. All right, so I'm just trying some different things here in the spirit of this experimenting with new compositions, or I don't know, slightly different ones. Northern Lights. Northern Lights. I love lighting. So, okay, so the Northern Lights, that's one of those things that I'd really love to see in person at some point in time. So in the spirit of lighting, like lightning bugs or fireflies, seems like anywhere where there's fireflies, people call them lightning bugs, so I'll call them lightning bugs. I want to see those. What else? So Craft by Cat, is it always... I think that I haven't read up on, but are there different colored northern lights that you see, or is, you know, the ones that you see typically the same color all the time, you know? Because I've seen some that are, you know, that you get that greenish curtainy one, but I've seen these greens and purple ones, you know, when I see photos of them, they're all, you know, there's like a lot of variation. So I was wondering if some of them are, you know, just in different whatever hemispheres or something like that. That's what I've always been kind of curious about. All right, so I'm going to create this kind of ledge out here like that. We'll mask off this. I was going to say, or should I just leave it? That looks kind of cool, just like that, but... All right, I can always go minimal like later on, but I wanted to really utilize some like image, you know, incorporate more image density into these pieces that I'm doing here. But I think, just some, some sand dunes like that would be really cool with that light. And you can put it like wouldn't that be perfect for a little person like right there on the horizon like that? It would be like it'd be so like really dramatic. I'm probably going to make it less dramatic right now, but I wanted to play around with these images. So in the sake of, for the sake of, or in the name of, whatever image density we'll build here a little bit. So this is like I wanted this like rock, with the sand dunes around it. And I thought I could put like a little figure. Maybe I'll still do that. I'll put the figure on top of the this kind of natural bridge. This is the type of thing that, if I'm hiking out in the desert, everyone's going to want to go out there. That's like a real definitive destination point that everyone would be, if that was a national park, everyone would be like right there. But this is my scene, so right here. So to me, this location is like a secret spot. That's what we always called those places in surfing. When we were going surfing, because you don't want a bunch of people out there because there's only so many waves. So if you had like a secret spot, that was always like really awesome. Here. I'm inking up the wrong side of this. I'm going to put some dunes right behind here. This could almost be like a beach too. I can use the seaside cove back up in here, the horizon line with the ocean, and that would kind of look cool. And it would fit with the sand too. All right, so let's go like this. I'm kind of layering this against that other dune, but this is going in back of, this. So it's kind of like a, whatever. So, it's amongst the sand, okay? Like that. And, all right, so I'm going to create this area back here is going to be real distant, so I'm going to put in some foreground elements in here. Let me go with the organ pipe cactus right here because it's pretty solid, in terms of the silhouette here. So I can stamp it over a pretty bold area in here, and it'll be fine. It'll stand out against that background. Okay, let's see. Hello, Rhonda. Good to see you. You had a tarantula in our kids' summer program. One day the kids got so excited. There were two. Oh, it molted. That's funny. That's cool. I'm trying to think if I had any friends that ever had a tarantula. You always saw that in the pet store. I'm trying to remember. It was always guinea pigs, hamsters, parakeets. But I always saw those tarantulas in the store. Fish. There's supposed to be a lot of tarantulas kind of out in the Chaparral area of California. It took years before I ever saw one though, and I was out hiking all the time as a kid. I think it took me going out. I was doing like bike riding or something like that on the interstate, and finally saw one walking around on the road one time. But I moved to San Diego, where I live now, and saw one on a hiking trail. I didn't stamp out that one piece right there, so I'm just stamping right over it like that. All right. I didn't get very much of it. Let's go like this down here, like that. That's cool about the molting, though. All right, let's come down here like so. And a bug got in my hair when we walked through some bushes in the park. That's not fun, Debbie. My son had a tarantula. It became my pet. Oh, it became your pet. You raised babies. Huh. That's the way it goes with the pets sometimes, right? You kind of take over. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. People that don't know what that are in here, Froggy Fresh. TMNT. I'm wearing purple, Genie. I was thinking I should probably, with whatever color scheme. Did I mention this before? I was like, maybe with whatever colors thing I'm doing, I should wear that color, to accessorize with the live stream, huh? Although I'm not going to wear like some kind of glittery thing when I'm, adding bling into some scene, though. All right, so there's some of those organ pipe. Now, they wouldn't be growing in the sand dunes like that, but, these aren't organ pipe, earth organ pipe cacti. Maybe they're, in a different planet. Or in my universe, they do grow in the sand dunes like this. All right, so see, this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to layer this more distant one, the smaller one right here, in the dunes. So you just kind of mask off like this and add it down like that. So it's like on the back side of like a little slope, and we'll add another one like back in there, or I can just add the tips of it, okay? Like so. Okay, something like that. Okay, I don't want it. I was going to add some more, but let's keep a little bit of space in between them, because, to create a little bit of negative space in between these branches. Or I don't know, they don't call them branches, whatever they call them. All right, hello, let me see. Jennifer asked, so the semi-gloss paper, you can use the colored pencil. Yeah, that's correct. The full glossy, unless you had something that was really, really, like pencils that were super soft, I don't think they're going to stick to it. So some of my Prismacolor pencils can apply to my glossy cardstock, but I wouldn't be able to use like multiple layers of it, if any, okay? So a lot of them do not work on the glossy, but the semi-gloss definitely has enough tooth, for colored pencils, okay? But let's see, here's a piece of let me see. I'm looking for a scrap piece. Oh, here's scrap. Here's a piece of glossy. Okay, so see this? I'm pressing down pretty hard on this one. Okay, so that did apply there. But if I try to go with 2 layers of this on top, see, none of this is transferring at all. This darker green right here on top of that. So you can go like 1 layer on top of glossy, okay? But on your semi-gloss, paper with tooth to it, let's go with, some of that dark, light green like that, the darker green, as you can see, applies right over the top of it. Now, you can't go like too many layers, and I'm just doing this really hard on here. I normally don't press down like so hard, but you just need a little bit more texture. The more textured something is, the better it's going to be for your colored pencils. It's one of those mediums that requires a little bit of tooth to it, to really kind of function really well. All right, let's see here. Like that. Let's do that one right there. Yeah. I'm going to wipe off the base. Do I need to wipe? Maybe I shouldn't wipe off the base because there's a little bit of that shadow down here, and this is like a rock, so it's like a hard thing. I usually wipe off the bottom when I'm stamping my objects in sand or grass or something like that, but let's just go like this here. Light, even pressure. Okay. Then I'm going to have some light beams coming across like that. Let's go with a little bit of texturing on here too with those tiny rocks. Like so. Seems like a kind of an evocative type of scene. Okay, like I said, I'm going to bring in some light beams across in here. I'll have them coming like this, and that would be using the Brilliance white water-based pigment ink, okay? Remember, these are all dye-based inks. They transfer onto here, they dry really fast, okay? And this is a water-based pigment ink, so it really pairs really nicely with your photo paper, okay? And okay, so if people don't know, photo paper and glossy photo paper and glossy cardstock are not the same materials, okay? Now, if I just get some glossy photo paper, just blank ones without print on there, and I compared the two of them, the other one's yellowed a little bit because it's like 20 years old, but they would look really similar. Okay, I mean, the back of it, you know, you can kind of tell it's a little bit more, I don't know, like vinyl-ish, you know, feeling. But this has an emulsion coating on here that makes for, you know, water-based media. It dries really fast on there. This right here has a clay coating on here with this whatever glossy coating that they have on there. This is made for offset printing, you know, posters, book covers, etc., you know, business cards in the printing industry. So it takes those inks and it dries that ink reasonably fast, but not as fast as something like this. So if you try to do some of the, you can do, you know, similar things on both. Like maybe if I print it out on, you know, glossy cardstock, maybe we can do something similar. But if you start blending colors onto these two different things and layering things, they take inks quite differently. Okay, so just keep that in mind. A lot of people, you know, I might do like a glossy paper type of technique or something like that, and then they'll use it with glossy photo paper, and I know what they're going to say. It's like the immediate thing is like, oh my God. Okay, so he, you know, meaning me, he made it look so easy. That it's what they always say. And, you know, sometimes they'll tell me what they use, sometimes they won't. But if they tell me kind of the symptoms, they said, you know, as soon as I touched the paper, you know, the ink down on, you know, the photo paper or something like that, I couldn't blend it at all, okay? And I might be doing like tons of blending, like a Northern Lights type of thing on, you know, the video, but they used just the wrong service for that wrong, you know, for the, you know, incompatible media and technique, okay? So keep that in mind when you're doing that. The photo paper and the glossy one, that's like the biggest kind of thing, incompatibility. I'm kind of tempted to stamp out my okay, I'm gonna do this later. I'm gonna finish off these cards in another one. I'm real tempted. I want to finish this off and see these light beams in here and everything like that, but I want to get in some more sketching because I'm liking what I'm seeing like this. But you know, it's really hard for me not to finish these pieces off like now. I get psyched, you know, when I see something and it's like, oh, you know, I can do this, this, and this to it. Now, you know, I'll remember that when I get back to it, but And I still want to play around with some of these. Okay, let's go with another large one like this. Let's go vertical on this. I don't think I've done like a half-page vertical in a while of using anything. This will give me a lot more kind of sky area, maybe. Let's play around. I want to do another fence type of thing, like a visual lead-in to maybe a dramatic sky. When you do kind of verticals like this, oftentimes it allows for more sky area. Or if you're doing a reflection, you know, with a lake in the middle, you can have a lot more reflected area down below and a lot more sky. So yeah, so portrait mode, you know, if you want to go, you know, into the sky a lot. You know what I haven't done yet, too? I haven't done kind of a lie on your back and look at the sky type of thing using the desert imagery. Yeah. I don't know. Well, let's see here. We'll see what we can come up with here. I don't know if I'm going to do it on this piece right here. I don't know. Maybe I should. All right, now that I start saying that, I want to do that. Okay, so let's do something with some cloud formations. Let's do it in a kind of a more of a warm tone sky. Just, you know, for something different. I just did that, you know, this blue toned one, and these are cooler color schemes right now with the blue, you know, violet tones right here. This one's going to be blue in the sky up here. Warm rocks and green grasses and spring grasses down here, but let's just do something like really warm up here. I'll show you a color scheme that I've enjoyed doing over the years too. If I have the colors still for it, let me see. I always knew my color combinations using my Marvy pads. As my Marvy pads start to disintegrate and I can't use them anymore, I'm going to transition over to like Memento or something like that. I don't know. Maybe combinations of some different pad makes. Distress ink or something like that. Okay, so this is going to be like we'll do like I'll have a little bit of land in. Maybe this will look more like a fisheye lens or something like that, okay? So things are going to kind of be wrapping around a little bit like this. Which I haven't done before. So I'm trying to figure it out right here. Okay, I'm going to use the larger cloud in here in conjunction with the smaller one, okay? All right, let's see how this goes. All right, so okay, now this is just going to be the base for, you know, this might look kind of weird without, you know, all the additional colors that will come into this eventually, but this will be my foundation right here. This is a spontaneous stamping, everyone. It's not like, okay, this is the instruction on how to do this scene right here. I'm figuring it out as I go here. Okay, so wiping that off right there. This is in a kind of a medium tone brown right here. We're gonna do it, it's kind of like this right here, okay? And I'll have like some light source coming from kind of left of center top area, okay? All right, let's see what happens here. Okay, looks like there was some blue on my cloud from before. Sometimes you get like the coolest color combinations, but then you can't get them again because it happened because you didn't clean your stamps. All right, so this right here, going like this, I'm changing the angle a little bit and overlapping. It's probably overlapping like a good inch and a half maybe. Okay, and then we'll come... I'm going to switch off to the smaller one too, but let's go with one more large one. while we're at it here. I don't know if the desert imagery can be done, you know, with this kind of lie your back and look at the stars type of thing. Or sky, in this case, not going to be the stars. Could be the sky, you know, stars if I wanted to. But I usually tilt like pine trees like this, you know, like you're looking up into, you know, through the trees or something like that. I'm not sure if the cactus is going to be directional enough, because those tend to be top heavy like that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Okay, Froggy Fresh has a whole set of Where's Waldo stamps from when I was a kid. Oh. Huh. I wonder who made those. Who made those stamps? Froggy Fresh, are they the foam types of punch-out stamps, like, you know, where you break them apart, you know, and they're all mounted on like a soft foam or something like that? There's no way that would be wood-mounted. Road trip to Norway, everyone. We need your address. Don't post the address. I'm just joking, of course. Well, I'm sure, you know, I'm sure everyone knows, but. All right, so we have that right there. Now this smaller one is going to go on the interior like that, okay? So I'm going to wipe off the top and the bottom, where this bottom one transitions into that one, okay? So again, it's your varied impression. I did clean this off, right? From that blue. Okay, so I'm wiping off this top portion, this bottom portion pretty good, okay? And we'll just go right in here. See where that cloud stamp is? It's going like right in here, but I've wiped off the top of this one, and I've wiped off the bottom of this one, like this. So you get a nice graceful merging of the two images, right? Because it faded out down there, and right here it faded on the top portion, faded high, this one fades low. And again, it's because you just wipe off the edge. So again, you can make things integrate like so easy like this. It's just, you know, and this isn't like a hard technique right here. So, you know, you don't have to do this on everything. You know, we're going to be doing a lot more blending. There's going to be coloring of, you know, imagery in here, and that integrates everything like that. But if it integrates just inherently in the impressions, it just gives you, you know, you don't have to blend so heavily later on, okay? So in other words, we just don't want a bunch of hard rectangle edges on these pieces right here, okay? So you just go like that, and then so it just stamps out much lighter and transitions so much easier like that. Okay. We'll do this where there's like a break in the clouds right here, so I'll come right over the top of it. It'll be like this, 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 okay? It's like the, you know, like a heavenly light type of thing, you know, breaking through. I didn't take off too much right there. I'll take off more next time, you know, more on the interior. Okay. That. And one more, I think, right there. I mean, you can go with the nut. I'll show you what I'll do right here. I'll go over multiple impressions, you know, for multiple value impressions right here. And I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so here, like that, okay. Now there's this opening right there, but then I'm gonna go for this second impression right here, but the second impression should be lighter than this one right here, right? So you go like that right in there, and you've already wiped off the top, but it's just gonna stamp out a lighter impression right there. Unless hardly any of the ink came off, you know, sometimes you can get a really dark impression the next time, but see, it's a little bit lighter than that one right there. And so you get that light. Let's see if we can go for 3. Yeah, a little bit, right? This little bit right there. So you get this light kind of coming through like that. And hopefully it looks a little bit more dimensional, you know. You can just use one cloud over the other, you know. This creates a little bit more distance spatially because these are larger billows and it goes to smaller. But I've done whole scenes where I just use this one stamp like that, and that looks fine too. You can do this in all kinds of different colors. Like I said, this one's going to be like a warm toned scene. I'll have like, you know, golden light kind of, you know, coming through here, and we'll probably put in some crepuscular rays coming in here like that. It almost kind of creates, you know, how this kind of stamped out where these two, you know, impressions are like this and like, you know, right here. That little space in there kind of creates a little bit of a space, you know, where, you know, we can add in our beams later on just from how this ended up just by chance, you know. All right, so let's see. So I gotta figure out this part right here. I'm usually doing like this slope like this, not coming up like this, so I guess it'd be the sedge filler. One of the things too that's really fun to do that I didn't do here is where you mix and, you know, you do like multiple cloud formations. You have cumulus with the alto cumulus or something like this. You have cumulus in the foreground and alto cumulus up high. That can also be done, you know, if you don't want it so billowy or something like that. All right, let's see how this goes right here. If you just joined in, we're trying to create this kind of idea of this like a fisheye lens, you know, type of scenario of looking up at the sky like that. So that's why this slope is like that shape right there. Let's add in a little bit of a textural variation again. We'll use some rocks again. Okay, so let's see. Froggy Fresh is saying green ones, red ones, green in Alaska, red in northern Ohio. That's cool. The most common one is green. That's the one that I see the most. I was showing someone was doing a lot of the aurora borealises after this little lesson that we did, and we did the green one, but then I was showing her photos, just, you know, from links, you know, that I was bringing up of that. There's that green and like purple one, like this color purple right here, you know, but then like a lime green purple, you know, tone. And I thought, oh man, those ones are really cool too, you know, as a color combination to try out in stamping in inks, you know, and that would be really cool. Okay. Let's see. This is so weird. The fisheye lens scene. So I've been stamping, you know, for a really long time. And you're watching the first fisheye lens, you know, view that I've ever done. There's so many different scenarios, you know, to do that we can do in scenes. I mean, just the combinations of stamps alone are, you know, endless. The different types of papers we can use, you know, to stamp on, in combination with all those different, you know, image variations and combinations. And then, I don't know, different views, things like that, like this. But I don't know, I think it looks pretty cool. I'll have to do this again sometime with, you know, some different types of imagery. Usually foliage or something like that. All right, so there we go, like that. I mean, this could, you know, it could be any, you know, in a fisheye lens, it could be almost any, you can have almost any direction you want. You know, as far as what's up and down in the scene. All right, a little bit more texture in this grass area. Let's fill that out a little bit more. Okay. This is just a little cluster of rocks right here. Okay. All right. Maybe the Joshua trees, huh? We have a lot of tall space right here, and the Joshua trees are pretty, this large Joshua tree is pretty tall. Let's go ahead and use that one. And plus I haven't used it yet tonight, so maybe that's why I want to use it. All right, now these are going to have plenty of time to dry. If I was just doing this scene tonight and I was doing it from start to finish, I would add my colors in here, you know, all my tones and things like that before I stamp these trees, because if I stamp these trees right now and if I just went in straight to coloring, there's a lot of solid area on this, so I'd probably have to wait for it to dry a little bit, you know, because if I come in here with yellows and pinks and oranges or something like that, I might be smearing this a little bit. I mean, it doesn't take too long to dry, you know, I'm talking about, you know, a few minutes, but I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna have like a, you know, be back in 10-minute thing and, you know, wait for this to dry or sit around. You could heat set it, you know, or something like that. I tend to not like heat setting though if I don't have to. You know, when you start heat setting your papers and cardstocks, a lot of times you start to, you know, kind of naturally bow. You can counter bow it, which I always do, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm wondering too if I heat set to, if my inks look a little bit duller than they could have had I not heat set. I don't know why, you know, I don't know if that's the case, but sometimes I've wondered that. All right, so this is, we'll go vertical right here. Then as it starts kind of moving around here, we'll kind of tilt, you know, our imagery slightly. Oh, this would be a perfect spot for like some birds, you know, to be flying right up in there too. Okay. Would that be too repetitive if I used that same one right there? I think that'd be okay. Let me use the same one, but I'll just be using the tops. Okay, so this land is supposed to be kind of curling around that way. in this scenario. Okay, so let's see. Let me try to get my bearings here. So go like that. I'm basically aiming it towards, you know, this like line. If there was an invisible line right here and it's pointing towards that, right? Go about like that. So I'm thinking about Northern Lights. There was this documentary on this guy back in the days of film, you know, before digital photography. And he basically created his own like super fisheye lens to shoot. And I think he shot in time lapse too. Photos of the Northern Lights. It was really cool. I watched that documentary. I don't know, it was years and years ago. But it's like, you know, sometimes you watch those types of things like that, and it's like, I want to go there. Or I want to see that type of thing. I've mentioned in the previous live stream, I had never even seen any Aurora Borealis or like that type of thing until I was like in high school, and there was this magazine, like a travel magazine or something like that, that, you know, opened it up, and I think there was like a full page spread of this sky, just, you know, that green Northern Lights. I was thinking, I was wondering if it was real, because I never even heard of them. It was like, oh my God. It's so spectacular. Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Donna. Green auroras are typically produced when charged particles collide with high concentrations of oxygen molecules in Earth's atmosphere. That's cool. Now, okay, so is it different concentrations of different types of molecules when there are different colors then? Okay, well, you answered that here. Comparatively less frequent, intense solar activity. Ah. And then so what? Okay, so is there like a typical? Yeah, I never see them. I don't think, you know. It's always Northern Lights that I always see, but like Southern Lights, you know, are those typically, you know, what's the most common color of those? Does Kevin have pets? I used to have pets. Aquaria. I liked things like aquariums, but we grew up with like parakeets, you know, iguana. Never a cat or a dog. Let's see, what were our parakeets' names? My sister, it was typically my sister's parakeets. I think my brother's iguana was called, was it Liza? Or something like that? Or did we name my friend's chameleon that? I can't remember. And then my thing was, I had a lot of aquariums, fish, you know, crayfish, saltwater fish. I was watching some saltwater, or no, not saltwater, but like planted aquarium videos the past couple days. I used to like they call him, this one guy, Amano, started doing these planted aquariums. I don't know, probably about 20 years ago. And with all these, you had to use like CO2 in your tanks, and that was the real kind of early versions of those tanks. So sometimes, you know, they didn't have like CO2 contraptions kind of developed at that time, you know, to feed your underwater plants. So they showed this thing of how you can do that using like sugar and yeast in a 2-liter bottle. So I had this tube coming out of there with the right combination of sugar, water, and yeast, and that created this little bubble, that I'd put into the aquarium. I mean, it kind of, it's like landscaping, right? Like, Stampscapes, putting together these landscapes and these little kind of environments like that. So, you know what I mean? I do have interest in like that type of thing anyway, so that's why I like, these landscape stamping, it's something that it's, that I have an interest in anyway. Doing things like these skies, we're talking about the northern lights. I didn't study any of that, but I did take like astronomy, like in college, and we went out, photographing, using our astropods and our cameras, different types of things, Orion, nebula, and all that type of thing. I love that type of stuff, and I love sky figures and deep space types of imagery. I don't know anything about it, but I sure love looking at those types of things, early Hubble, images that were coming out. Found it fascinating. Because it's like, all right, how do we get that on paper in stamps, type of questions always come up for me when looking at that type of imagery. So I have like the, what do they call the Peterson's Field Guide to, what is it? Atmosphere or something like that? Sky figures. So like this, so Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Weather, all kinds of different clouds, learning how to, trying to figure out how to draw them, I never came out with this one right here. Mammatus clouds like that. I've seen clouds like that like a couple times, but atmosphere, stars and planets, these ones are probably shot on just regular film, but love all that stuff. I think there's some Northern Lights type of stuff in here. Not on the stars and planets one, but I think on the atmosphere books. But I have a ton of other books on that type of thing. All right, so anyways, we're layering imagery in here. Wouldn't that be a crack up to have that? I think this would be a crack up to have that Roadrunner right here. Let's see. At some point in time, that the Coyote and Roadrunner, I bet you those were made in rubber stamps at some point in time and licensed, probably All Night Media or something like that, or Rubber Stampede, maybe, I don't know. Light, even pressure don't squash down your like really small images, really hard, but there, you see that right there. Those little creatures like that crack me up when using them in these scenes. Here, let me go with the, I haven't used the scorpion in a while. I want to do that one day. I'll do a nighttime type of scene. We'll try to figure out how to stamp out the scorpion in like glow-in-the-dark ink or paint or something like that. And then you won't be able to see it, but then when you put a black light on there or something like that, or, or you charge it up and, look at it under, in darkness, you'll be able to see it just like, in nature. If you use a black light, those scorpions kind of have that, whatever, bioluminescence or whatever. They glow, or they react for some reason. I don't know why in nature that, that would be the case, but right, so little critters kind of crawling around in here like that. These birds right here. All right, now if I'm putting these birds in here, I'm going to do that after I, do the different colors in here. But I definitely see some like streaming light coming through this way, like this. I think that would be pretty dramatic to do that. Let's see, let's layer a little bit more in here. I'm having, so I'm doing a lot of layers on these desert scenes, because these desert scenes, they really, it's kind of weird. They really allow for me to really make a pretty dense environment, and it looks fine or natural. If I do this with other types of environments, sometimes I don't like to crowd things, but I don't know. I don't know why it is, but I speculate that the desert imagery, things are kind of more top heavy, in terms of the growth. Like, this starts off with one stalk right here on the saguaros, and it branches out. The ocotillos kind of go out in the V type of formation. I guess that's the same for like ash trees and things like that, but I'm thinking about pine trees or something like that, where it's heavier on the bottom. But I don't know. I guess these ones are, certainly heavier on top. I guess maybe these ones aren't. Maybe these, like the winter ash here, it's narrow on the bottom, fuller on the top, but it's much fuller on top. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Where on here I can really lay down, a lot of these grassy things like this. We have the grass textures in here. I have a bunch of rocks, a bunch of trees like that, but it doesn't feel crowded. For whatever reason. So I'm able to play around a little bit differently. It's a different spirit, or twist on the whole kind of compositional kind of building with these pieces like that. So anyways, so there's your fisheye type of thing. I like this structure like this, though, like kind of wrapping around like that. I'm going to have to incorporate that with future scenes, the fisheye lens type of thing. Oh, the fisheye lens type of thing with an aurora borealis might be kind of cool. So the difference is on this one right here, I just brought in some land into it that gave it that kind of aurora, fisheye type of look in here when you bend your landscape. So if we did it with this one right here, that whole mountain range of the background kind of twisting up like that. That might be kind of cool too. All right, so those are the 3 or 4 compositions like that. We have 2 on the semi-gloss cardstock, 2 on the photo stamping. A lot of glare on there. Let me do one more here. I'm trying to think of which one I want to finish off first. This one right here, I can also have like a quote stamp right in here. Maybe not, I don't know. Maybe I didn't leave probably room out here. I'd have to put it right in that really narrow area right there if I did. Let's see, blue and purple auroras are less common. Yeah, I don't see them in photos as much during periods of high solar activity. Has there been a lot of, did you mention that earlier? Has there been a lot of solar activity recently? I thought I saw that somewhere. Jennifer, how do you know all this stuff? Someone always, you know what I mean? What I like about these live streams is there's someone that always knows the answer for something, Jennifer's like an expert on that. I'm going to go back and read that again on these. Green and pink. So crap, I can't. You've only seen green and pink. Okay. That's cool. Because I love that combination. Energy level of the particles and we got 2 people that know about this. Huh. I don't have any pets currently. My son had some. I put together some tanks for him at some point in time. It's probably been 10 years or something like that, but the fish all died off. All right, Rhonda. Hello, Vintage Scrap Girl. Got my tiny leaves today. Awesome. I want to do that thing. I was doing that live stream, or not live stream, but that video yesterday. I just want to do like a tree, and then we were talking about these little fake modeler's leaves, and just stamp out a tree with a little bit of shadow on a tree, and put those leaves right at the base of it. You know, some bare tree. I want to do that. That one would be probably suitable for that. I forgot what they called. Something and Simple. There's a Facebook group. It's Something and Simple, I think, card making. Most of the scenes, it seems like they do are like all white, you know. Clean and Simple. I think there's a Clean and Simple card making thing. So I don't know, just stamping white one tree or something like that with a few leaves at the base of it, you know, like three-dimensional leaves. I think that'd be really cool. All right, so let's see here. Let's do. I want to do. I like that fence with the desert imagery. I want to do another one like that. Well, let's do it on the wood grain paper. That should make for a really fast composition. Let's do. Let's see. This is the smaller fence. Sometimes I do this like here. I do the larger fence right here and the smaller fence like right up here, like more distance, so it's a little bit of a different scale. Let's do that. Let's just do a really fast scene right here. Okay. All right. My question is, with these fences on such a small card, you know, the quarter-page cards, am I leaving room for, you know, other imagery in there? Oh, okay. So I'm switching to this pre-printed paper. Okay, so my dye-based ink works on it, but it doesn't work as well as a thicker ink in the hybrid ink, which is a combination of pigment ink and dye-based ink. The people that sell this are, you know, the Moon and the Maker. They have it made by one of the, you know, the ink makers in this industry, pad makers. And so they don't even know what that hybrid ink, you know, what it is in that ink. That's what they told me. Okay, holding this down a little bit longer to let that ink transfer here. Hello, Patty. Careful of those buzzards if you're laying on the ground. So if we want to like take some photos, close-up photos of buzzards, we should like lie on the ground and play dead, I think. It'd be cool to see a condor, like a California condor. I don't know where they started letting them go initially. I don't know if it was an Ojai or something like that, which is a little bit south of Santa Barbara. Okay, let's see. Let's go about like so. How narrow of an opening do I want? Let's get a pretty narrow opening right here. All right. Huh. All right, let's see what we have some space for here. Definitely not the larger, you know, imagery, more like smaller ones in the distance. Okay, let me create a little bit of a slope in here. A foundation for some objects or flora. I mean, this would be really cool with I was going to break out the barn. I forgot to get that, but the old barn stamp, I was going to stamp that back there, and there's going to be, you know, some cacti around or something like that. Like I said, more of like a old relic of a barn or, you know, ranch or something like that, where everything's kind of grown over, you know. I was going to create that type of scenario, but I don't know. when I was setting up here, I just didn't, I forgot about it. All right, let's see. Let's do some of the ocotillos. We'll keep it kind of light in the background so as not to kind of detract from the silhouette of the fencing right there. Okay. All right, let's go. This, we'll mop off some of the bottom of this, or a decent amount off the bottom of this stamp. I probably took off too much there. I don't know if you can see it right there, but I was going to stamp that right over the top of the fence. Like that. Let's put another one right over here. Okay. So one of the speaking of the Northern Lights, that was one of the workshops that I did recently, and that's one of my favorite projects to do in stamping, is this kind of this curtainy kind of Northern Light type of thing, because I love really super deep saturated tones, and I don't know, that's just like the perfect kind of excuse to layer like tons of different colors down. Someone posted, so there's a Northern Lights challenge going on right now. It just means you do, in the Stampscapes Facebook group. I didn't come up with someone else had that idea, and so you just do your your Northern Light type of scenario. But someone, people have been also posting some cool photos, as some ideas for people to do. And that Northern Light where it's kind of like this twirly type of light thing, and there's like streaks in it or something like that, that kind of that weird shape, it's like bending around and everything like that. That's like a scenario that I haven't tried before that I'll have to do, take a shot at someday. I mean, it's easier. I just do my like curtainy type of things coming from one direction, but that all those different kinds of weird shapes are really would be kind of interesting to try to do. It doesn't seem like it'd be terribly easy, no, which is why I haven't done it. But I don't know. It might be time, to try some different scenarios like that. I have a whole book on Northern Lights too somewhere, but again, I think it was pre digital photography, so I think these are all just taken with film in here. But I love that look. Yeah, you can see how grainy this is like the Northern Lights from the space shuttle right here. Isn't that cool? But yeah, you can see these photos like that. See, like that in digital photography, that would be much, much clearer, crisper of a photograph. But yeah, so the little spinny types of things like that. It's like, all right, how do I do that in ink? I'm doing mostly like, I don't know, where it's like a curtainy type of thing. Like this part right here, but just this portion of it or something like that. I don't know. Can anyone do this with inks? Shoot a video, something like that, so we can see. But yeah, here's that that purplish green one. Look at this intermediate color in between, that blue right there. Maybe do this all in blues, and then you add like some pinks to it over here, so it transitions into the violet tones, and then you add a little bit of green into the blues this way. I'm talking about dye-based inks, and then you get that little bit of horizon down there. The horizon part would be the toughest part of that type of thing, to transition that little zone right there and to make it look really kind of elegant like that, you know. But look at that right there. Oh, look at that purple right there. I don't know. I love doing those types of things. And these days, you know, the splatter painting of the skies, you know, is really fun with the you know, the Dr. Martens or something like that. But you know, I need to expand on that type of idea. You know, we have the glow in the dark powders like that. I think we might be able to do something. You know, add in some I don't know, some what you know, glow in the dark kind of elements into a scene. You know, where you can turn off the lights and, you know, or, you know, black light, reactive, you know, type of elements and scenes. I always thought one of these days I'm going to do one of these live streams just under a black light, but I thought I don't know if I could work that way. I might be blind afterwards for like it's gonna like burn out certain cones or something. You know, or you do a scene like that, you do it all under the black light or something like that. But then, you know, like the scene looks really cool, you know, and everything like that. And then you turn it off in regular light, and the scene looks like, you know, horrific or something. You know, that would probably be the most likely scenario if you know, if I created something, you know, under those types of conditions. It might be kind of fun though. We tried that one time though. We tried stamping out a scene uh, in for like Halloween with a strobe light, right? But then someone had like a seizure, you know, that was watching, so we never did that again. I'm joking, folks. I'm joking on the seizure thing, but I still think, you know, maybe do the black light thing scenario. I'll have to see if I can do that. I do have a you know, like a fluorescent black light though. I don't know if this camera will even pick it up though. All right, let's see here. I'm adding in a little bit more texturing in here. This scene right here, the other one's going to be, I'm going to not have to do very much at all to this one. It almost looks like done. Just a little bit of shadow work down here or something like that. Or I can have them going into like we can do like a white pigmenting moon up there or something like that, or it could represent a sun, whatever. And then I can add in some like strong, you know, really strong shadows in here, especially if it was like, or maybe like if it was right on the horizon right here. See, there's this little bit of slope. And if I put like a little setting sun or rising moon right there, that might be kind of interesting. We can do these long shadows coming across there. Okay, so speaking of that, I think this is like the natural place for like a moon. So I was going to stamp this cactus right there, but that's going to get in the way though. So I don't like just doing one object. I like having it repeated somewhere. So I'll do this really dinky one right here, but I'll still leave room. I'll try to leave room for, you know, that rising kind of whatever orb, you'll call it, be it a sun or a moon. And we'll put in some dramatic shadows in here. So when you do something like this, okay, so here's this whole scene in here. But if I put this like rising or setting, whatever it is, light source right here, and if I put these like dramatic shadows coming across here, the scene kind of becomes about, you know, the lighting, because, you know, that's the thing that's going to be the most dramatic in here. But I think that sounds like a cool scenario, so so I'll try to do something like that when I finish off this scene here. You know, in another video, live stream or whatever. Okay, so I'm going to add in a few of these background saguaros here. Like that. Okay. So that kind of filled it in a little bit, but yeah, right in here maybe. Like a hole punch. I'll use like a half or a 1-inch hole punch or something like that, but I'll have it coming right on that space. Okay. Let's see. Let's add in a little bit more depth here. So in other words, this road isn't well traveled because you have all these this brush right here coming in from the sides like that. All right, but anyways, I wanted to see those fences. Someone did a composition recently where it was like a whole ranch. It was really cool, and that's up on Facebook. I don't know. Is it someone here that did that? Someone might be watching here that did that. I don't know. It was Cecile that did. I don't know. Was it yours? All right. So let's see what we have here in terms of our stamp scenarios, stamp sketches. Here we have our wood grain paper with the hybrid ink. I feel like I'm naming kind of the meals of the or whatever, the specials of the day at a restaurant. Okay, so wood grain paper with the hybrid ink. The hybrid ink just kind of applies to this paper a little bit better on this pre-printed paper, okay? I think other inks will work on there really well. Maybe not your dye-based inks, like a Memento Black or something like that, or like a Distress Black ink or something like that. It would stamp out really lightly, which might look cool too. It might look a little bit more aged, but I don't think you're going to get the darker values like that, okay? So when you stamp on these pre-printed papers like this, kind of stamp and hold for a little bit longer, unless you're doing like a StazOn solvent ink. It like dries like really fast. You don't need to hold it down. All right. The semi-gloss cardstock here with the little bit more of or a lot more of like a fisheye type of lens. This one's going to get a warm tone color treatment in here with some gold tones. Maybe like some warmer distressing, I don't know, tinges of color like antique linen. I thought this was like super dry, but it does have some good ink in there. And I might add in some like pinks or something like that in here. And but we'll retain some of the light, but I think I'm going to have some light beams coming through here that I'll apply right over the top of the coloring in here, and then colored pencil work in a lot of these areas too. All right, semi-gloss again. I use the semi-gloss as opposed to glossy cardstock today because I wanted to use a lot of colored pencils on these. So just another different scenario. I wanted to use these fences with the desert imagery. I thought that would make a really strong kind of visual lead-in into the scene. I might stamp like a quote stamp up here or something. If I don't stamp a quote stamp up here, I'm going to put more clouds up there. But I'll have some kind of lighting in here, and we'll add some really light, airy, billowy light into the scene. This one might look cool with just some blue clouds up here, but then some of those crepuscular rays coming through like that into those background mountains like that, but stop right there. Usually I have it coming through the scene, but just right over the top of those mountains would be kind of cool like this. Okay, I might have to rethink that one now that I'm looking at this and thinking about that scenario. That might look kind of interesting. Like there, like some spring rains in the desert or something like that with some clouds up there and those rays coming out. Photo stamping fun. Glossy 4x6 photo prints. You can get these like sometimes like on Shutterfly. Sometimes Shutterfly like has whatever 100 prints for free or something like crazy like that. You just pay for shipping. But these are just photo prints of clouds if you just joined in, or you can print it out at home too on your inkjet printer. But then you just use your standard dye-based inks, whatever they are, whatever you want, distress inks, mementos, I forgot those designer ones, you know, what are the names? They're the names of people. But you can use those the inks to not use on your photo papers. Okay, glossy photo paper. You can use some of them on your glossy cardstock, but on glossy photo paper like this, don't use your oil-based pigments, i.e., something like a VersaFine, a Claire. All right, because on this photo paper like this, they're made for water-based media, and I don't think the VersaFine Claire is going to dry on there unless you're embossing it or something like that. You're stamping it out, and you're gonna do clear embossing or something of that sort on the photo papers like that. But anyways, I'll finish these off in a future videos. I'll probably, I don't know, do each one of these in a different video. But on this one right here, these photo prints, again, just to recap, I'm going to use some dye-based inks on this one. On the semi-gloss cardstocks, probably dye-based inks, watercolor pencils, and pigment inks, maybe some paint pens, probably paint pens on that. Something like this, I just think I'm going to just do a little horizon type of thing with white pigment ink. And I'm going to add in some shadows in here, some strong shadows. And then, I don't know, maybe a little bit of white pigment ink through here just to tie in with the lighting, the light source, you know, in there. So, but kind of minimal because we want, you know, the nice textural patterning of the wood grain paper, you know, to show in here anyways. I mean, you can just use it as a base and cover it up completely. I like to retain, you know, some of those forms, you know, in the end result though. So I don't do too much, you know, I don't add too many things on top of that wood grain paper, usually. All right. All right, let's see here. In the Arctic Circle, they're known as Aurora Borealis, or the Northern Lights. Well, in the Antarctic, they're called Aurora I can't pronounce that one. Australis? Or the Southern Lights, okay. Yeah, I don't see the Southern Lights. They're less dramatic, right, Jennifer? Than the Northern Lights. From the ones I've seen in the past, it didn't seem like they were quite as dramatic. Yeah, see, I hadn't heard of Southern Lights. I heard, you know, going back when, but then I mostly saw photographs of that. And the light pillars are different, though. When I was doing things with the holographic papers, someone told me about light pillars, but that's just usually man-made lights. You know, I don't know what it is. It's refraction or whatever conditions are going through, you know, the light reflecting off of that, you know. I don't know, whatever, 50 feet in the air or something like that it looked like. But I love all those types of color lighting phenomena or whatever, lighting effects that are up in the sky. So I'm kind of curious to see what those type of things look like live, you know, because the cameras are always like changing all that stuff, you know, with what the, you know, film and now, you know, digital picks up. And I don't know if they're kind of altering it in post, you know, just to emphasize something, you know, in post-production. Oh, thanks for joining in, Malka. Glad to have you, as always. My Tiny Leaves will be here by Sunday. Got it. If anyone ever posts anything, let me know of what you're doing, or if you come up with anything kind of new and cool. Always interested in new ideas too. So, yeah, always looking forward to seeing what everyone does with all those types of things, especially new type of media like that, you know. And like I said, kind of delving into that three-dimensional area of embellishment. I think that's a really exciting type of thing for, I think, perfect for scenic stamping too, because there's so many of those types of things that are already out there, you know, in the diorama model railroad building. You know, we got to take advantage of that, you know, mosses and textures and things like that. There's all these kits, you know, that have like sand in it, you know, things like that, like sand and rock and like all mossy grasses and things like that. we got to see what we can do with some of those types of things on these scenes. So something like this. Okay, so I'm going to bring in a lot of different colors into this one. I might bring in some of my like gold crushed glass into this one, or the multicolored one down in here. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't know on these two. No, on this one, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to figure it out. But yeah, something like that. Have I done an eclipse scene? I have an eclipse stamp. Someone ordered a bunch of stamps this week, all unmounted, right? But the one stamp they ordered was the solar eclipse, which was pretty interesting to me. That's one of those types of stamps that I do for myself because, like, again, I love all that type of stuff, you know. But they ordered that one in the wood-mounted version, which is really interesting. Oh, by the way, hello, Hila. Is that how you pronounce that? I believe they are harder. Yeah, the Southern Lights, huh? But the colors are the same depending on the particles. Okay, huh? Jennifer, you've never seen them in person either, huh? Field trip. We're gonna have a stamping retreat in Norway, and we'll do it whenever the Northern Lights. We'll stamp during the day and by night, or is that like dark at that time of year, like all through the day anyway. So we'll stamp during, I don't know. Stampers, when they go to retreats, they're stamping at nighttime too, though. Yeah, but we'll stamp. We'll go out. We'll go out and we'll look at the Northern Lights, and then we'll try to replicate that in studio or whatever, with the stamps and inks and stuff like that. We need to do things like more like vibrant tones too. Okay, so this is like this is like my Northern Lighty type of thing. I always go down, to the base right here because if I do this kind of hanging thing like this, like a Northern Light like this, if it's all dark right down here, I'm not going to be able to see the silhouette of any type of my shape, so I always make it light down here. All right, so I'm doing my version of kind of Northern Lights, but we need some kind of thing, like some kind of additive thing like in here, you know what I mean? I don't know, have a, like shimmery type of thing, or, they have those things that you can rub on here that are kind of a little bit more reflective. But I don't know. I've always been interested in like taking something like this, which I think can already be, fairly. I haven't spray sealed this one, by the way, which will make it more saturated in tones. But I've always been interested in doing, and adding something to this. I don't know. I can go with like a little crystal stars up here or something like that. Like a couple of them might be kind of interesting. But I want to add something into the color scheme in here. I've bought other things too with that idea in mind, but I just can't figure out how to, I haven't figured that one out yet. You see, I already, I'm thinking about this stuff, like, so these pearlescent inks or something like this, these really super reflective things like this. I don't know about this one, not necessarily for Northern Lights, but I want to add in some of these like pearlescent inks, like into a water scenario, like deep blue waters. But then if we use some of this type of really super reflective type of acrylic, just to add that extra little punch and shimmer and reflection, of light, or the illusion of light coming from within a scene. You know what I mean? I don't know. We want to figure something like that out and how to do that. We can do it where it's really kind of like more whimsical and not like realistic at all, which I like too. But I also want to create kind of that other illusion of I don't know, a little bit more slightly towards realism. You know what I mean? But like I said, I love it whimsical too. You know, I want to do like the little star punch outs or stuff like that. You know, those little glow in the dark stars that you give to kids that you put on their ceiling too. You know, stuff like that being used in scenes. But I don't know. I want more light coming from the scenes. You know, so when we're actually using those reflectives, I think we can achieve something like that. But I haven't figured out how to incorporate it in kind of in a natural way. You know what I mean? Stamping retreat, yeah. We used to have these scenic stamping retreats years ago, like around the Chicago area. And it wasn't like construction or anything like that, but just a bunch of scenic stampers getting together. And we just started, like, it would typically be stamping like Friday, Saturday. And I don't know if we did it on Sunday morning. I think we had to clean up and everything like that and get out of there. But I don't know if we met on Thursdays either. I think it was just Saturdays. Yeah. But it was like nonstop stamping, like 15 hours a day. I don't know if it was that much. Some people did that. It's like, what time did you guys, did you guys you go back, and the next morning someone's like stamped out another like 5 cards after you left, the room at like 1 a.m. or something like that. Hello, Jen. Sparkling, shimmering paste, solar paste. What is that? Solar paste. When the jar is open, it hits the light. It transforms into a paste with silver metallic color shift. All right, I gotta remember that one. Is there a brand on that one, Jennifer? Whatever it is, it sounds interesting. That sounds like what we want here. Solar paste. Just the name of it is kind of evocative. All right, see if we can get that brand here. Or is there only one brand? What? Wait, solar and Luna paste. Simon Hurley. Okay, I'll take a look at that. Now, is it something that already existed that they're just kind of renaming it something? It's not dark all day here. Okay, if you go to the northern Norway in the summer, the sun is up 24/7. Oh. Hey, what? Hey, crap by cat. Which months or what period of time are the? Do you see the Northern Lights? Is there one month that's like the like the real sweet spot, for the lights? And I guess it would depend on what's happening with the whatever solar flares and stuff, right? Solar activity. But is it pretty consistent? Like you get them every, the same month every year, but just in different, um, whatever degrees or something like that. Okay, so Bonnie thinks heard Solar Paste by Ranger Inc. Oh, it's Ranger. Okay, so that's they have his name in that. It's his making. Simon Says stamp brand. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll take a look. I'll do a Google whatever solar paste. I don't know. Is it cool that people use it, or is it is it useful? I'm sure there's some YouTube videos of it. I'll check out. It sounds almost like okay, so it's creamy white paste. When the jar is open, it hits the light. It transformed into a silver metallic color shift. Silver metallic, but it's otherwise white. That sounds like another product to me, unless I'm thinking of what was that? More of the mica ones, in years past, like 20 years ago or something like that. And I thought, nah, the Judykins one was not. That was just sealant, right, with Judykins. Yeah, there've been so many different products over the years. Sold on Amazon, a lot under online stores. Okay. All right, so it sounds like a lot of you have it. Is this really cool stuff, or did you just get it and not use it? And hey, I'm not, I get a lot of that. So I haven't even, I don't think I've used those pearlescenings very much at all. And I got those like I don't know, maybe it's been 10 years or something like that. I even got this little mixing thing, ink mixer tool. It's like a big paint mixer, but it's like this little battery operated one. But I'm wondering if you guys are using it. It's used a lot with stencils. Okay. Oh, because it's thick or something like that? Yeah, okay. Oh, there's a lot of different colors in it too. Okay. Is this something that you can just kind of like streak on with your finger? Like on that Northern Light one that where'd it go? That I showed you? Is it something where you're just like taking something like this and you're taking some of it in your finger and you're just going like this with it? You know? Like that? You can come up like that, or you can give like a real kind of light addition to it. Then when you hold it up or something like that, it's going to be a lot more kind of whatever, iridescent or something like that in terms of the look of it. I mean, Okay. You can use your finger or palette knife to spread. Oh, okay. So the palette knife would be something that people are doing on the stencils then, right? To get a thicker kind of application of it. I'm using the God-given palette knives here, 10 of them, or one. All right, I'm looking that up. So I got my homework. I'll check that type of thing out. But it would look good then with the Northern Light type of thing, you think? And okay, so when you're applying it over the top, is it going to be something that's not very? Is there a clear one too, or is it just all colors? I'll take a look at it. I'll see. Because I was wondering if it's real opaque. I don't want it to block off or things, or do I? Maybe if we go like this. I know we want Northern Lights types of media. To use it. Maybe I never thought about doing that with those pearlescent ones either. Just kind of doing like a real kind of, transparent streak into there onto these dye-based inks. With the pearlescent inks, I'm going to have to seal this off and then apply the thing over the top of it. Otherwise, if I apply the pearlescent inks that I was showing you in the bottle, it's going to lift the color that's been applied on here. So I think spray sealing first, and then applying some of those other types of media might be the method. I don't know. Thinking out loud here, not even really knowing anything about that stuff. I'll see how thick it is too. If it's like super thick, then we might not have to do that. It won't put the base colors back into solution. So Craft Like Cat, you can just go out and you can do like a photo stamping of those Northern Lights. You just take photos of it and then print it out and just, stamp right over the top of it. And that's your photo stamping, That'd be kind of cool. And then if you can add some of those extra little things to it, that might be pretty interesting. But it'd be pretty interesting if you just, even if you have like photo stamping, if I do that, I'm going to have to use like some, download some photos of it. But it makes it even more personal when you take the photos yourself, Sometimes it reminds you of that moment, which might not be any big deal for you, if you see them all the time. Okay, it can be applied thick or thin. And I take it it's water-based too, right? Yeah. Have a good night, Patty. Happy Easter weekend to you. All right, folks. Speaking of that, I will call it a day, call it a night here. And I can't wait. I'm not sure which one of these I'm going to finish off first. Probably these three right here. And I'll probably do these two in a separate video sometime. So maybe we'll see over the weekend sometime if I jump on and finish one of these pieces off, or, multiples. I'm not sure. All right, folks. Thanks for that information. Loved all that info provided on the different lights. And information on the media here. So maybe on a future video, we'll be seeing us applying some of that type of stuff. And one of the things too is when you're bringing in those kind of iridescent-y, shimmery types of things too, I think it opens the door for adding in those little things like those crushed glass little elements into the scene. It just seems a little bit more integrated when you have, kind of more of those reflective, kind of shiny, blingy types of elements throughout the scene like that. So if the sky is like, the source of whatever light and color that's in the scene, then it makes sense to, it makes a little bit more sense to add in like some of those elements into the landscape down below. So opportunity for I don't know, something kind of fun and, I don't know, like I said, blingy. All right. Good night, everyone. Go have fun. Go have some fun stamping.